Hey everyone, it's Jen from Midnight Sky Fibers, and this is a review for the Denise Interchangeable Knitting Needles. The Denise Interchangeable Knitting Needles are the ones that I currently have. I like them because there's a large range of sizes, and I like that it's really easy to change and add the sizes without the knitting needles unscrewing for me. I like that they click into place instead of twist on, since they don't tend to fall off as easily while I'm working on projects. I've also had the Boye knitting needles, and for me those ones tend to just twist off too easily. So it's great for me that I think that the Denise ones don't fall apart so easily. It's great since I mostly only use them for the larger sizes. I don't really use the size 5 or the 6 ones. I much more use the size 10.5 and up, since I only really need them for the larger projects or when I need to cast on 300 stitches to do a Mobius scarf or something crazy like that. So that's really what I use them for. Otherwise I tend to just use plain old circular knitting needles. The downsides of the Denise is I don't really like their cords. It's too plasticky and not bendable enough for me. And I'm not crazy about their connectors. For me, my stitches tend to catch on them a little bit, which is also a problem with the Boye Interchangeable Knitting Needles, which you can kind of expect because that's just it's just a different plastic piece, and in order to get the different plastic pieces to fit together, if you're working with a really fine yarn, it makes sense that they're going to catch over it a little bit. Otherwise, I really like them. It's great because they fill in for all the larger sizes of knitting needles that I otherwise don't really want to own. The only downside is that I don't really like the short version of the knitting needles. So if you're trying to knit like a 16-inch round hat, I don't think it works well for that. I use regular knitting needles for that. So mostly using them for something like sweater width around or larger. And for that it works really well. And I don't really want to have to own a 60-inch size 15 circular knitting needle because I'm going to use that once every 3 years, and I'm only going to use a circular knitting needle that's 6 inches around once every 3 years. So it's great for that. I enjoy it. I think it's definitely great if you only need certain sizes very occasionally just to make projects every once in a while. It's great to have a pair of interchangeable knitting needles, but if you really only knit, say, socks on size 1 needles and you really don't need anything else, so you really only knit scarves on a size 9 knitting needle, interchangeable knitting needles probably aren't for you, unless you do actually knit the other occasional projects, but just so infrequently that that it's not worth just buying the other knitting needles for them. So that can be great. I mean, it saved me a ton on knitting needles. And speaking as someone who used to work in a yarn store who has tons of knitting needles, that's really saying something. Thanks for listening.